Welcome. Thanks for being here today. This adult forum is hosted or led by the Healing Prayer Team, which is a team that is open for anyone to be a part of, to join. And you may have seen us during worship. There's sometimes an opportunity to come up for a healing prayer during communion. And so this is the team of people that is leading today. And one of the things that we do, we meet monthly, is we try to do things for our own spiritual growth and formation, because part of what healing prayer is being centered and grounded enough to let God's power work. And that takes some education and grounding and spiritual focus for us. So, the latest book that we have been reading together is this tiny little thing that everybody on the team has lost at one point or another because it's so little. It's called Miracles. We decided to read about Jesus's miracles. And this person, William Barclay, is a well-known biblical commentator. And so this is all of his commentary about Jesus's miracles pulled out of the bigger commentaries that he wrote on Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John and put into this little book. And the first time we got together to read, this is the impetus for our class together today. We read about the feeding of the 5,000, and if you're in Wednesday Bible study, we talked about the feeding of the 5,000 on Wednesday. And so what's interesting is we all know that story, but William Barclay decided to give about 3 different interpretations of this miracle. And I just wanted to share that with you because hearing this is what prompted the whole session that we're having together today. We may look at this miracle in 3 ways. We may regard it simply as a miracle in which Jesus multiplied loaves and fishes. Some may find that hard to conceive of, and some may find it hard to reconcile with the fact that is just what Jesus refused to do at his temptations just a few chapters earlier. If we can believe in the sheer miraculous character of this miracle, then let us continue to do so. But if we are puzzled, there are 2 other explanations. It may be that this was really a sacramental meal. In the rest of the chapter, the language of Jesus is exactly that of the Last Supper. It could be that at this meal it was but a morsel, like the sacrament, that each person received. And that the thrill and wonder of the presence of Jesus and the reality of God turned the sacramental crumb into something which richly nourished their hearts and souls, as happens at every communion service to this day. So that's another way to think about the feeding of the 5,000. And then here's the last one. There may be another and very lovely explanation. It is scarcely to be thought that the crowd left on a 9-mile expedition without making any preparations at all. If there were pilgrims with them, they would certainly possess supplies for the way. But it may be that they would not produce what they had, for they selfishly and very humanly wished to keep it all for themselves. It may then be that Jesus, with that rare smile of his, produced the little store that he and his disciples had. With sunny faith, he thanked God for it and shared it out. Moved by his example, everyone who had anything did the same, and in the end there was enough, and more than enough for all. It may be that this is a miracle in which the presence of Jesus turned a crowd of selfish men and women into a fellowship of sharers. It may be that this story represents the biggest miracle of all, one which changed not loaves and fishes, but men and women. So we read that together in our healing prayer group, and this miraculous thing happened. Everybody said, oh, that is a miracle, right? To not just loaves and fishes, but to change people's hearts, to make them generous. And if that's a miracle, then have I got a story for you. And so what we wanted to do today was share a few of the miracle stories that came out in one of our meetings together, and see if there are any more amongst y'all to share. So with that, I'd like to invite Deb to come up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The story I'd like to share with you this morning started on an autumn evening when my sister called me in tears. I wasn't too surprised when I answered the phone and she was crying, because we had recently lost our mom and our grief was still very, very fresh. But as I listened to her, it became clear that her tears were not for my mom. They were for a very dear friend of hers, Caroline, who had received very devastating news that afternoon. Caroline was a young mom. Her little boy Liam was about 4 to 6 months old, and she had noticed that she was having pain in her upper right arm. And she went to the doctor and they said, well, you carry that baby carrier and it's at such a weird angle, so just carry it with the other arm for a while. The arm should recover and settle down. But in spite of following their instructions, the arm just kept getting worse. And so she'd gone back, and that day they had done imaging. And they found that in the upper bone of her arm, there was a very aggressive, fast-moving tumor that had so infiltrated the bone and compromised the structure of the bone that it was at risk of just shattering. So they said, we're going to give you a referral to oncology. We're going to figure out a treatment plan. But in the meantime, you cannot use that arm at all. You can't bump it. You can't lay on it. Because if it shatters, the only thing we can do is amputate your arm. So here she was, going from one day, everything is fine, to the next day, she could lose her arm, she could lose her life. And she had called my sister and gave her the news, and my sister was just devastated by this news. And as I listened to her, of course I was moved by Caroline's story, but I was also I felt such heartbreak for my sister, who was still grieving for our mom, and now here was this other terrible thing that was happening in her life. And I just had this resolve that I had to do something. I didn't know what to do, but it came into my mind, I should make Caroline a prayer shawl. Small problem, I didn't know how to knit. So luckily, maybe, a couple days later, there was a quilt and prayer shawl ministry workshop here in church. And so I came, and Joyce Heinrich, Holly Jervis's dear mother, taught me how to knit. And she sent me away with the beginnings of a prayer shawl and some yarn and some knitting needles, and I went home and I set about knitting, and I soon realized that as a novice knitter I was way too clumsy and way too slow, and I had too many drop stitches, and I thought, I will never finish this prayer shawl in time. And so I didn't give up, and I decided, okay, then I need to find another way. And I can't tell you why I felt such determination that I needed to do this, because in retrospect, I didn't think this at the time, but in retrospect I thought, why didn't I just come and get a prayer shawl from church? I mean, there was an easier solution, but something just kept compelling me that I needed to do this. And so I had in my mind, maybe I could sew a prayer shawl. small problem, I don't really sew either. But I sort of thought about it, and I'd taken home ec in junior high, so I knew a little bit about a sewing machine. And I had my mom's old sewing machine now. And so the next day after church, it was a Sunday, I went to Joann Fabric, and I didn't have a pattern or anything, but it kind of came to me how I could put this together within my skill level, which was a severe limitation. And so I came home with the fabric, and I cleared off the dining room table, and I pulled out the sewing machine, and my husband was like, "What is going on? You don't do this." I'm like, "Just give me a few hours." And I made the prayer shawl. And I prayed over it, and I blessed it, and got it off to Caroline the next morning by FedEx. About 2 weeks later, I got a lovely card from Caroline. And she thanked me for my thoughtfulness and my prayers and the shawl. And then she told me her own story. She said that from the time she got that diagnosis, being in this period of waiting, where because her arm was immobilized, she couldn't even pick up her son. She couldn't do anything. And she said her imagination would take root of all of the terrible outcomes that could happen. And when she would lay down at night and try to sleep, all those thoughts just came to the fore and just circled around in her about how she might lose her arm, about how she might never hold her son again, about how she might lose her life and he might grow up without his mom, and she would miss his growing up. And she said when she'd finally fall asleep from pure exhaustion, she had these awful nightmares where she was without her arm, where she was at her own funeral, where her son was crying and asking for her, but she couldn't come. So when she got the prayer shawl, she said she put it around her, and she felt comfort and decided, okay, when I go to bed, I'm leaving this on. And so she slept with the prayer shawl. And she said for the first time that night, she fell right asleep. And instead of those terrible recurring nightmares, she had a dream. And in that dream, she was in a safe, warm place. And all of the people in her life who loved her and who she loved were around her. And they came up to her and they put their hands on her. And they told her, "Caroline, it's okay. All will be well." She said that when she woke up, that peace just stayed with her. And even though she still didn't know what was going to happen, she didn't even know what her diagnosis was at that point, she knew she could still lose her arm and she could still die, but she still felt this calm assurance that somehow things were going to work out okay. So that was about 21 years ago. Liam is graduating from college this coming fall or spring. Caroline is recovered and her arm is intact. She and my sister, for many years, out of her gratefulness to the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Center, which gave her exquisite, top-notch medical care, she and my sister volunteered at their annual gala to raise funds. And over the time that they volunteered, they literally helped raise millions of dollars for cancer research. And as for me, I stuck with the knitting. I got better at it. And I think I've probably made close to 100 prayer shawls since that time. But that was my very first one. So thank you for listening to the story of the prayer shawl.
That was a beautiful story. We've heard so many stories.
Microphone. Use the microphone.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Deb. We've heard so many beautiful stories in healing ministry, and we're happy to share them with you. Now it's time if you would join us in these questions. A little discussion. How were prayers for healing answered? Who was responsible for the healing? Did any miracles occur? And if so, what were they? And as you listen to this story, what came to your mind? If you feel comfortable with the people next to you, or if you'd like to get up and move, let's have a discussion in groups of 2 or 3 or 4, make a little group, and let's discuss those questions together. There's a lot of food for thought.
We can listen.
Like, oh, you have to. Okay. All right. Well, I can listen. I can listen. That's fine.
Instead of reading a book called Miracles. And so then they share some stories amongst them on the team. And so then they share
More people.
the healing ministry. And so then they share stories of their own. And that was to let God heal, right? My understanding that's how He works through, and we just kind of let God take over. Yeah, so they kind of come together, right, and pray, and
They're talking about defeating the 5,000 and different interpretations of kind of how it exactly happened. But they're all, there's 3 different interpretations, and they're all really miracles. Whichever one, whatever happened, then they discuss talk about miracles in a little booklet. And I think in the persistence of like wanting to do that, there's definitely like
to do, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I know. Sometimes those are like, I just want to do this and like slap down man.
Well, sometimes I think it's really
Balance is good.
but to just kind of like go for like some spiritual healing, because people are so troubled sometimes, and you know, they have losses, and you know, it's not necessarily the person who has losses. I feel like it's the person who has the loss, and sometimes just have to really see the greater being and take over that. Because if you don't, you always feel like you've really been lost. Anger, everything. Does that make sense? Sometimes I think we call it fate, and it's really something, right? Like, so my brother died. I went home. I got a call at 5 o'clock.
Okay, maybe 30 seconds.
Anyways, I went to work. I worked in the GI lab, and I was talking to him. He used to just like his wife too. And then I had to tell her. But yet it felt like, oh my gosh, that was like so weird to me. But it made me
Let's come back together
good
and
feeling.
hear.
And somebody shared about him that morning and how much he really did. Like him.
20 years
Mom.
after.
Right, well, no, this was in 2011 when it happened.
Okay,
but we had
did
been in
anybody
school
talk
6
about
months together.
how were prayers for healing answered? Yeah, Dee.
Yeah, Well, we talked about, I think that there's 4 ways that you can be healed,
Okay.
and it's medical,
Mm-hmm.
miracle, natural, like with herbs and things, or by death.
Huh.
And
Okay.
in my family, they're healed by death.
Yeah.
My mother, father, and sister.
Yeah.
And that was the way they were gonna be healed.
Yeah. How were prayers for healing answered in Deb's story that she told?
She could sleep.
She could sleep, right?
Talking about
And
that.
if you can't sleep, and if you're up all night worried about something, that is a prayer answered, right? When you can have a good night's rest. Yeah.
We talked about in our group, we thought that the way that prayers for healing were answered was this presence of reassurance.
Yeah. Like the dream of everybody who loved her around her, telling her that everything was going to be
And the
okay.
feeling
Talk
of
about the
calm.
communion of saints, right? Yeah, but a feeling of calm, and when she woke up, it was still with her. Yeah. What else?
People who knew her prayed for her and
Yeah.
acted. for
Yeah.
her.
She obviously had friends and loved ones, and then even people who were quite removed from her doing these wonderful things and praying for her. Yeah. Who or what was responsible for the healing? Yes.
Essentially God, but through people too.
How so?
Well, first of all, I'm sorry. I
Deb,
forget your name.
yeah.
Kept wanting to do something to make that quilt. And like
Yeah.
she said, she could have gone to the, get a prayer shawl. But
Yeah.
it was important to do it herself.
Yeah.
I thought that was meaning there. And then the fact of getting the rest to heal your body.
Yes.
You need rest to heal.
Mm-hmm.
And, let's see, what else? Well then, you know, God working through a dream,
Yeah.
I think.
Okay.
You know, surrounded
Mhm.
by her loved ones and so on. But it's like, we keep hearing, we're the people, God uses us to reach out and heal,
Yeah.
help
Yeah.
us.
There are a lot of actors in this
Yeah.
story,
Yeah.
right? Who else might be responsible for the healing in this story? Yes.
Well, maybe the medicine.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The doctors, the people who dedicate their lives, years and years, to study, to caring for people, to the latest medicines and techniques and technology. You know, that the healing prayer team says often that miracles come through healthcare professionals too, right? And answered prayers come through healthcare professionals. It's not either or. It's not, you know, you come and pray for God to heal you, or you go to the hospital. You know, that there, it's all of the above, all of the above. And often they work together, right? But I had cancer last year, and the developments and the advances that have come in just the last 2 years, it is a miracle. It's a miracle what they can do. So she was the recipient of that kind of healing as well, right? And then the part that blows my mind, that she and your sister then worked together to raise millions of dollars for more cancer research. There's other people's prayers answered, right? It's like ripples just going out of goodness, of care, of love. Did any miracles occur? So what were they? We just talked about that. As you listen to this story, what came to your mind? This is very, there is no right answer here. Yes,
The act of love, like that Deborah felt compelled to make the shawl no matter what, even though she couldn't sew or knit at the time. And then the act of love of when, she fell asleep with the shawl on her, and also love continued on with the raising of all the funds.
Yeah.
That it just kept going.
Just kept going, a gift that kept on giving and giving and giving. And then you can imagine that maybe there are other people who received medical care at that place who turned around and did the exact same thing, right? I keep thinking about how I would have said to myself, ooh, somebody should make her a prayer shawl. Or maybe, like, I'll tell my sister to, check a church in the area or to get her a prayer shawl, right? One of the miracles to me is that you got this idea, had zero skills to back it up, and kept going after it, right? Like, at the very least, I would have gone to that meeting, learned how to knit, failed at knitting, and given up. But you didn't. You didn't.
Yeah, Pastor Ed Winter, some of you may remember him. He would talk about spirit nudges, where something comes into your heart and your mind, and you can't let it go. It's just driving you, compelling you, and that's what this felt like. So yeah, I think to me, that's the spirit.
Yeah.
And as I prepared the story, something occurred to me I hadn't thought about before, and that is that I was also healed by doing this. It had something, it lightened my grief for my mom to be able to do something for someone else. And I feel so grateful for that, and for Carolyn, and the life that she's been able to have, and the life that her son has been able to have because she's still here, and for the researchers and the doctors. It's just feel full of Thanksgiving.
Yeah. So the miracle, the love went both ways, from the giver right back. And that's usually how that works, right? Yes.
I don't know if you know, but Pastor Ed Winters started what was called the Abider program at Luther Manor.
Yep.
And when people were in hospice care, there was a lady that read scriptures to them. And when my Aunt Frances passed, the last words she heard were scripture. And for that, I've always been grateful to Pastor Ed. I think that was a wonderful thing that he did.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget him for that.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
What I thought too was, had she never had that dream, had she never had that peace, maybe the medical part of it wouldn't have worked as well. You know, that so she could just accept that treatment rather than going in with despair.
Yeah.
And like even in death, like in hospice, right? So if you can help people at the end just with that comfort, they can be peaceful, right? And they don't fight and struggle at the end, but they have a peace that comes to them that they can just let go.
Yeah. Do we have healthcare people in the room? Raise your hand. Can you attest to the fact that a person's attitude makes a difference in how their treatment unfolds?
I would say absolutely. I think I see it as a healthcare provider, I've seen it as a patient, and giving up some of that control that we all like to have in our lives, we have to realize that at some point we don't have all that control. And I think that, yes, that attitude, that vulnerability, that working with others, the relationships, and allowing the healing to happen, I think is very powerful.
Yeah.
And as we were talking with the prayer shawl, just that feeling of surrounding and community, I think is tremendous as far as feeling that love as you're going through.
Yeah, but I think you're right. I think having that feeling, and she knew one way or the other it was going to be okay, right? Even if she died, she knew it was going to be okay. And if that's your attitude going into treatment, that probably makes a big difference in how you heal physically, but also in your own mind, right? Yeah. Before I forget, because I will, you know, there's this, right outside the library, there's a collection of prayer shawls. People make those so that you will take them. They don't cost anything. So if you have somebody who's going through something in your life, take one. That's what they're for. And then there are these angels in the congregation who just make more. So please, that they are there to be used. So please do that. Yeah, Priscilla.
I experienced that with my daughter. She accepted that she was dying, and it was amazing to me.
Yeah. Did she have like a peace about her after that?
No, you sit with her on her sofa one day and she says, Mom, I've accepted that I'm dying. And she had ovarian cancer, which was awful, but everybody was saying she could be a poster child for end of life.
And that she probably gave that gift to the people who witnessed that
Yes,
and
definitely,
saw that, right?
definitely.
Yeah. A miracle in its own right. Okay, we have another one. This is a different miracle story. It's not necessarily medical, but it's a really good one. So we have another story, and then we'll do some more discussion as well.
Hello, everybody. Before I start, I have to attest to the improvement in Deb's knitting skills. I have been the recipient of one of her prayer shawls, and it is beautiful, and it is by my bed, and thank you. So my story is kind of different, and in thinking about doing this, I've realized how many things were put in place that seemed just like, oh, how is this happening? To get to the moment of what I would call a bit of a deliverance. So in 2024, my family were going to New Mexico. We had flights booked, and about 4 weeks before we were leaving, those flights were canceled. They gave us these rebooked routes and told us that they also could not confirm that those would not as well be canceled. So we decided to drive. And in doing so, not wanting to put miles on our car, we rented a car. And we thought we were really lucky. We got a brand new Jeep Grand Cherokee with barely 2,000 miles on it. So one would say, what can go wrong? I'm here to say a lot. So anyway, great trip. We're leaving New Mexico. We drive across the Colorado border, and there is a little town called Antonito that has this really cute Sinclair gas station with a dinosaur, which my daughter liked. So we're like, oh, let's stop for gas, fill up. Do so. Getting ready to leave, the car will not start. We try and we try and we try. It will not start. We come to the determination that the battery in the fob has died. I think I failed to mention that this is 8 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday in the middle of nowhere, Colorado. So that Daisy, the owner of the Sinclair station, who is a wonderful woman, our car is stuck at one of her 8 pumps, right? And so she drove me to a small town 30 miles away that happened to have an A1 Auto Parts opened on a Sunday. They replaced the battery. We're like, this is great. We get back, we get in the car, we're ready to go. It will not start. So now Daisy's looking at YouTube videos, we're reading the user manuals, how do you reinitialize the fob? Nothing works. So now I call Enterprise. We go through all of these things, nothing works. It's like an hour, it's now 10 o'clock on a Sunday in nowhere, Colorado. And he says, I think that we're just gonna have to tow you. And I'm like, tow me? To the Denver airport, which is 3 hours away, which is where the only Enterprise in this area of Colorado is open on a Sunday. And then after the tow truck comes to get you, we will give you the number of an Uber driver to come and pick you up and to then drive you to Denver.
Oh.
What time will the tow truck arrive? Well, they won't be able to leave Denver till like 4. This is just like, our brains are just, going crazy. So anyway, to cut to the chase, it ended up that the tow truck driver could leave Denver at 6. Did I mention that the gas station closes at 5? And that once we finally got in contact with the tow truck driver, he told us we didn't have to worry about the Uber because he had room in his cab to take the 3 of us with him. So all day long, the people, Daisy, who owned the station, they were great. She let us have free access to her soda machine. Unfortunately, the restaurant that was in her gas station was closed because it was Sunday. Then we had snacks in our car. But at 6 o'clock, or at 5 o'clock, the station closed. And so now we are permanently outside of the station in Nowhere, Colorado. And even though it was self-serve, so people were coming and going, it's quieting down. But we had watched people all day long. Like the movement at this gas station while we were stationary was a very weird, like everybody's getting to go where they want to go. And we are completely out of control, stuck at this gas station. We're now out of water. We're starting to get thirsty. And then my daughter Hannah goes, I just remembered something. And we're like, what? And she's like, it's a new moon tonight. No moon, no moonlight. So as darkness came on, all the mountains disappear, and the light that's over the carport, that's like the only light and the light behind us, but everything is pitch black around us. So after a few stories of, UFO sightings maybe, or creatures coming down out of the mountains, some cryptid coming to get us, we decided to go sit in our car and wait. At about 9 o'clock, we saw 2 lights coming towards us. They pull into the gas station. It is the tow truck driver. We're like, okay. So we're out of the car while he's hitching it up or whatever. And we now have not had basically food all day. We ran out of water around 6. We're very thirsty. We're just trying to forget that. And while we're just standing there waiting, this Ford F-150 pulls in to get gas. And this guy, maybe in his early 40s, just is like sunshine coming out of his truck. And he's smiling and he's full of energy, and he comes up to us and he's like, oh man, he's like, I have been where you are. I feel so bad for you. Do you guys need some water? I have a bunch of water in my car, in my truck. And we were like, that would be really nice. So he gave us each a bottle of water. We talked for a while. And then the tow truck driver, who's now in our car, is like, and we go over there and he's like, your car is running. And we're like, what? And even like around 6, we had thought maybe the fob had reinitialized itself, and we tried, and it still would not start. But it's running, so he's like, you can follow me on a moonless night over the 9,000 foot high mountain pass that we have to take to get to Pueblo, which is where we're gonna hopefully stay. We could follow his taillights, which was the only light we had in the night. The biggest thing is the man who has now become known to us, as the water bearer. When he arrived, we so fully realized that everything we had needed that day had been provided to us. And he came at the end with just this brightness, and all the way across that mountain, because so much of it was my daughter, who was like, wow, this is so incredible. We had everything we needed. And to this day, the water bearer is the symbol for us that you don't know what you need. You don't know maybe we knew we needed water, but where it would come from, the idea that it would come, that it would be delivered, was not even within us. And it was just given. And so in my family, we have moments now where we're like, oh, that was the water bearer. Just a moment that represents that. But it has left us so much with the idea that we don't have to worry. Because what we need, that thing that we need, will be given. And so that's my story. Yeah, she's right there.
Oh, there you are. My goodness. Okay, discuss.
How were prayers answered? Who is responsible for helping Connie's family? Did any miracles occur, and if so, what were they? And as you listen to this story, what came to your mind?
Hi, Matt.
Well, what came to my mind is that there are
Could be both.
because that reminded me, remember when we were coming home from Illinois, and we had two little boys in our car, and what happened, some belt broke, and we pulled into this gas station, and it was outside commercial in the city, right? And we live in West Dallas. We were stranded, and it was dark, we had dinner with friends, we had gone to Arlington Racetrack, and there was stuff for dinner, and all of a sudden, everybody had just gone their separate ways to come back home. And I made like, did you stay at the gas station? I can't remember because he took, you stayed at the gas station? I got in the man's car with our two little boys.
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
Yeah.
And the little boys were, I mean, they were little, I mean, less than probably, I don't know, 3 and 6 maybe. And here I'm in some stranger's home, but he took us to see like, Kenosha was to us.
Well, we had ours.
But then I can't even remember what happened to you. I was just glad that we didn't get dropped off in some campground somewhere dead. Because all the way home, what did this really, you know, and it's like,
Strangers helping you out. I don't know, it's just better, you know. It's not often you need that help, but there are people out there.
because back in that day, there weren't anybody that would driven, nor would we probably have had the money to pay for it or something. You know, and it's just like, you know, you think of that.
But
You know, like when you're out in the country.
I don't think I've ever had anything.
I honestly, there's, because I don't like that.
We've all been
I don't
lost.
like the kids where now I lay me down to sleep.
We've all been
I pray, well, if I should die, what child? I just can't believe a child say, if I die, right? Did you?
The relief that must have happened.
Oh, nice. Because I've been with that way too. I know, it's like, man, I would never. So when I was putting our granddaughter to sleep, I don't know, 6 months, and I said, oh, let's say which one are you? Your name is Love. And this lady, I tell her, got two little guys. And she goes, Grandma, was that German? I said, no, that was English. But so I prefer, you know what I mean? The guy shut it so fast. I know, I said, was that German?
Random today, and we have new members, but
Yes, we were Catholic.
let's
I know,
come back
I do
together
like that
around
one.
this story. We wanted Connie to tell this story because it's not necessarily dramatic. It's not about someone's like physical, medical healing, but I think it's a miracle story. And so we wanted you to hear it. So, how were prayers? Go ahead and address any of these questions. Who was responsible for helping Connie's family? Did any miracles occur?
Well, I guess I'd ask, did they pray right at the beginning, is, help us get through this, or?
Yes and no. Like, because my daughter was 15 at the time, and she was just being so great through the whole thing that it was like, she's handling this, and so we're okay. And this bracelet that I am wearing was made in Santa Fe, but it's not the one I had on that day. It's a replica, because this bracelet fell off my wrist somewhere in that station and was lost. And the searching for it, the staff helping us find it, it's kind of like, yes, our prayers were answered, but we didn't know the prayers that we needed. If that makes sense. Like, yeah.
What else? Yeah, Judy?
I just think there are guardian angels around everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Agreed. Yeah.
So who were some of the guardian angels, or who were some of the people who helped out in this story?
Well, the gas station owner.
The owner,
Yeah.
right? To let you hang out there all day?
With a pump not being used. And can I say one thing about the gas station owner? And this is a whole different story, but when we got in her car for her to take me to get the battery, I was like, and she, I believe, was from the Taos Pueblo and had relocated, but I'm like, I am just so sorry. I don't know why this had to happen. She looked at me and she goes, well, what have you been trying to avoid lately? And I was like, by the end of that day, again, a whole nother story, by the end of that day I knew.
Huh.
Yep.
So the gas station, Daisy, the gas station owner. Who else?
The water bearer.
The guy who came with
Light.
energy and positivity
Yep.
and light and bottled water at the end of a really long day.
Yep.
And the tow truck
The tow
driver.
Who had a t-shirt on that said tow truck boy. He's like, you can call me that.
Well, and people from Enterprise, when you called them,
Right.
they could have given you a big runaround, but they worked to help you move
Yeah.
your situation
Yeah.
forward.
Like a bunch of kind
Yes.
people every step of the way.
Yeah.
And the tow truck had room to take.
Yeah,
you.
we ended up driving our car,
Yes.
but he did have room.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like what Pastor Ann and I were just saying on the side. It was all these little things happening that we didn't, because what did we want? We wanted the car to start and to be on our way, right? But every little thing along the way, we were not left alone until 5 o'clock when the gas station closed. But people were doing everything they could, and they were so kind. Yeah.
So we want our car to work, we want to keep our plans, we want to get on our way. But at every step along the way, you got what you needed, not what you wanted, but what you needed.
And at the end, the water bear.
Always get what you want. Okay, any other comments about Connie's story? It's a good one, isn't it?
I think the real miracle was that they realized that they got what they wanted.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
And that, increased their faith.
Yes, isn't that amazing that it wasn't just this thing that happened, but it stayed with them to the point where they recognize the water bearer in other situations, right? Or have this trust or this faith that they're going to get what they need. That's a gift, isn't it? Especially for a 15-year-old daughter, right?
Yeah.
And she looks out and she can say, there's the water bearer.
Yeah.
Like, here's the person who's gonna give us what we need. That's amazing.
Yeah.
We don't have a ton of time left. I'm so sorry this got started late because we wanted to open it up and ask if you have stories that you wanted to share, or things that have happened to you, big or small, whether it's kind of physical healing or whether it's a miracle of kindness and receiving the thing that you need in the moment. I know we have a plant. Can I ask you to share yours?
I don't really want to rush through that.
You don't wanna?
I don't
Okay,
wanna rush through that.
that's okay, I get it. Yes.
Part two. Part two.
Part two, we can do another one, yes.
I'm just gonna say, with the recent floods, some of us were impacted more than others. But I had neighbors came over and helped me, 2 different groups of neighbors. And then I had other people come to help with remediate the problems in my basement. And the service repair people who have come, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, and that's just something that I didn't lose as much of my home because I've had water in my basement before. But just the idea that you're going through this, and as an elderly, alone person, it's like, how am I going to deal with this?
Yeah.
And people just reached out to me.
Yeah. Have you, raise your hand if you've ever experienced like your community just showing up for you. Being good to you. Yeah. That's a miracle. That's a gift from God.
Well, it's also undeserved in the sense.
Isn't it?
It's grace.
It's grace.
You receive grace.
Yes. Yeah. A gift. For sure.
It's humbling.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah.
It is.
People help you out.
And does it make you want to be the kind of person who shows up for somebody else in need? Yeah. Yeah.
It makes me think of all the times when we have benefited from, it takes your mind back to, oh wow, that happened.
Yeah.
And this happened. And then it also, like now, we just had an instance where, you know, somebody's house did flood. It was a friend of our kids. And, you know, we took some food over there in the morning, and it's so weird. I went to the farmer's market and I ran into them. I said, so how are you coming with your basement, slow but sure? And then she said something like, well, we lost all our Christmas decorations, even our stockings. I said, you know what? You're in luck because I need to clean out boxes.
And you're a Christmas decoration lady.
I have like tons, and our kids don't even want our stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I said, you know, will you take anything? You know, don't be insulted, but I will get some stuff together for you. And so I have.
Yeah.
You know, not as much as I would have liked, but I called a couple neighbors that I also know are going to downsize a little bit.
Yeah.
I said, you guys have anything, they'll take anything.
Yeah.
So in turn, all the people that have helped us, you just realize, I should be better at this. You know, and I think I'm finally getting better at it.
You too can be a water bearer.
Yeah.
I'm hoping I can.
A Christmas decoration bearer.
Yes.
Yes. I love that she told that to you because you have lots of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
She had no idea. She had no idea. She was talking to the Christmas lady. Okay. I need to go do church, so I'm going to turn this over to these ladies if you'd like to keep going, or do you want to?
go find out if I'm leaving.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
If anybody wants to stay and have more to share, please do, and if not, we can find our pews.
Well, how do you become part of this group? I mean,
Yeah,
it's
when do you?
The healing prayer team.
Yeah.
Every third Sunday, we meet in the conference room downstairs. But this would be one of the ladies to talk to.
We'd love to have anyone
Please
join
take
us.
a prayer shawl if you need one.
If you know someone who needs one.
Yeah. And Deb knit one for my daughter many years ago that she still loves.
And if you have someone that you think they would really, you know, they love blue and there's not a blue one out there, let me know. I'll make one for them. Just tell me. Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah. Nope.